From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as
Johnny Dollar.
Hank Gleason at Intercommercial, Johnny. Say, did you ever hear the Carisio diamond?
Doesn't strike a chord.
Worth about $200,000 on the open market.
It's insured and it's been stolen, right?
Well, can't say definitely that it's been stolen, but it's gone. The owner's name was Benson, lived here in Hartford.
Why the past tense?
They found him last night in his study, murdered.
Edmund O'Brien in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Intercommercial Insurance Companies of America, Home Offices, Hartford, Connecticut. Attention, Henry Layson. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during investigation of the Carisio diamond matter. Expense account item 1, $1.20 taxi fare to the western part of town where the better homes are situated. Mr. Charles Benson's home was back from the street and encircled with a high, well-trimmed hedge. The black wreath was already on the door. A young lady, very pretty, in a black dress, received me in the study.
You're Mr. Dollar?
That's right.
Mr. Layson phoned and said you were on your way.
Oh, I hate to bother you with a matter like this right now. Miss Benson, is it?
Yes. It's quite all right. Maybe if I go over it all again, it'll help me realize that it's happened. That Dad's gone. It's still like a bad dream. The beginning was when Dad bought the Carisio diamond.
When was that?
About 3 years ago in Italy. He bought it from a diamond trader who'd just come into Florence from South Africa.
Your father had interest there?
No, he was just a tourist. He'd heard about this diamond from a friend of his, a collector. Seems the diamond had belonged to a minor official to the Medicis, a man named Carisio. It was given to him in return for a favor. Since then, it's passed from hand to hand until Dad bought it.
What did he pay for it, do you know?
About $200,000, or the Italian equivalent at that time in lira. But, Mr. Dollar, the diamond has a strange history.
Now, don't tell me there's a curse on it.
No, nothing like that. But I guess it amounts to the same thing. Everyone who's owned the diamond has died with it in his possession, died violently.
There's nothing particularly mysterious about that. Anything worth as much as that piece of glass is worth killing for. Say, who's living with you here now?
My mother. Just the two of us. You have no idea how hard it's been for her, Mr. Dollar. She's hardly been out of her room since Dad died.
Can you tell me about last night, Miss Benson?
Well, I was out with Bob, my fiancé. We were out till about 3. Dad was home alone. He had a habit of reading very late. In this room, as a matter of fact. The light in the study was on when we came in. It was the only light on in the house. Bob and I went in. Dad's back was to the door.
Please go on.
He was slumped over in his chair facing the window. His book had dropped to the floor. The wall safe was wide open, and on the desk was the velvet-lined box the diamond was kept in. The diamond was gone. Dad had a bullet hole in his temple.
I see. He kept the diamond right on these premises?
Always. We warned him time after time not to. We told him to keep it in his safety deposit box at the bank, but he refused.